see we share the same barber.
Yes, exactly. It's cheap and easy.
I don't know about that. I say it's more expensive than a haircut. Razor blades are expensive.
Yeah, that's true. But you don't have to set up an appointment to get it done.
Exactly. Nice to meet you, Brent.
Nice to meet you as well.
All right, I'm letting your crew in here. Good morning, Aspen.
Good morning, Michael. How's it going?
Life is good. Your husband and I were just complimenting each other's due.
Awesome. Yes. Yeah, we
No,
like to only.
I'm a long hair hippie today. I actually left my beard.
There you go. I'm sorry about the terrible weather you have there behind you. I hope you're okay.
You know, I actually put a shirt on for this meeting.
Well, thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So there's a running joke in my company. I show up to a lot of my calls. I live in Arizona, Brent, 10 months of the year. I live in Florida 2 months of the year. So I like it warm, and I'll show up on calls with my internal staff with no shirt on frequently. And I got on last year. I was at the beach, got on, and my whole team, like seven, not my whole team, but all my department heads, all 7 guys are shirtless waiting for me to get on there.
Oh, gosh. Ashley will not make it on. She's traveling and she's at an opportunity event right now. Mike might be able to hop on. We'll see, but we definitely can dive in. Michael, I just gave them like the Cliff's Notes version of everything. Molly Paez is on here. She's our director of marketing. She's got a background in traditional marketing, and she's worked with me in the MLM space for about 1.5 years. And then Mallory McNair is our director of communications and distributor relations, and also has almost 1 year of network marketing experience. Her background before that was business, and she also helps Brent with supply chain and some social media stuff for us as well. She and Molly collaborate a lot together. They're the eyes and insight to us of that 20 something. They're 23 and 25. So they bring the young, fresh perspective that is unique to our target market, as well. And so Molly can speak to a lot of different things that she's, been thinking about as well. But I wanted them just to hear from you about your vision and what you can do. And I apologize in advance if you end up needing to repeat a little bit that you shared with me, but they'll be the people that are helping execute any pieces that would be on our end of it. And I'd love for Molly specifically to be able to kind of hear some of that from you about what her role would look like. And then Brent and I can talk offline when we're done about when and how much and who and what we need to do. So I told them you're extremely experienced, but I don't hesitate to brag yourself up and tell them just how smart you are, because we love working with people who are experts in their thing.
Excellent. Well, nice to meet you, Molly, and Mallory, if you're out there, nice to meet you as well. Michael Hamburger, I'm here in Scottsdale, Arizona. I'll give you the quick insight. I spent 6 years in the Marine Corps, got out of college. My then ex-girlfriend's brother introduced me to this thing, right? One of those things. And I signed up with him, and it was an MLM company. It cost me $1,500 to get in. I was there for 6.5 weeks, and like a 30-year-old making $100,000 in corporate America, I had all the answers before I knew what the questions were. And I was the guy you would have never wanted to enroll in your team. Fast forward, that was in 1998. Fast forward 22 years later. I've been married to that ex-girlfriend now for almost 18 years. I joined her brother in March of 2003 at another one of those things, and made $19,000 my first month, and made $100,000 by month 6, made $300,000 by month 12. And I have been smitten with this thing called network marketing ever since. So I started as a distributor. In 2003, when I came back into space, I was taught how not to make a list of friends and family. As an arrogant, I don't use that word, but as an arrogant 30-year-old making $150,000 a year in corporate America, I thought my stuff didn't stink. But I also didn't want to talk to anybody that I knew, because it was beneath me, just being very candid. My next door neighbor was a guy named David Savula, and Coach Savula was making $1.5 million a month at Prepaid Legal. He was my football coach. His boys were some of my close friends. But I saw what he was doing and it wasn't comfortable. And so when I came back in the industry, even though I saw David making $1.5 million a month and I saw my brother-in-law making great money, I use that terminology beneath me kind of just as a point. What it was not understanding. But when I came back in, I said, teach me how to do this so I don't have to talk to people. Because when I was working for MCI in Atlanta as a telecom rep, I was calling on somebody that was in our building. And I've been calling on these guys for months. And the gatekeeper told me, well, if you come back tonight to the courtyard, we're having a little get together and you could meet with the owner and you guys could have some time to talk about it. When I came back to that meeting, it was a quick start meeting, which was Amway, right? So I felt like I had been duped. And that left, between that and my first experience where I was my own Achilles heel, I really didn't have a favorable vision of the network marketing space. So when I came back in 2003, I said, show me how to do it where I don't have to get out of my comfort zone. And first 2 calls I made $1,000. I was like, wait, this stuff works. And so I jumped in, but I was buying newspaper ads. I placed ads in Tampa, Charlotte, Atlanta, Austin, and Macon, Georgia. And then I went to the USA Today. And then about 2004, I got online. I had a buddy of mine that I was running around with in Atlanta when I was single that was an internet guy. Remember, this is 2003, 2004 timeframe. So Google had just came out, right? This new product called AdWords had just came out. And my wife's best friend's husband, I had enrolled him in our business. And he got on this thing called Google. And he calls me up and he's like, man, I'm just making so many sales off this. So I put $20,000 into Google that year. I made 200,000 from it. I thought this stuff works. So I've been like a crackhead when it comes to internet marketing ever since. I went from in 2004, I became I was already a top 10 money earner. But in 2005, the company told me, a bunch of us were in Whistler, British Columbia at an executive retreat. And the company said, we're getting rid of our CRM tool because it's not as advanced as all you guys need. And it's our #1 customer support issue. So if any of you leaders want to build a CRM tool, have at it. I was already 3 months into building my own. So that was just like, those were great words for me. I never did the cross-line thing because I never knew what it was. Nobody in the company knew it, but my brother-in-law was one of the 2 founders. And it wasn't until we were 5.5 years in that he actually outed me from stage. I had a fear of nepotism, or at least the allegation of nepotism. And being a younger brother or younger brother-in-law, I wanted to make my own name. So it was like 5.5 years in when we were at a banquet in Puerto Rico. And he said, by the way, for those of you, this is my mom and dad sitting at the table with my sister, Leslie Hamburger. And all of a sudden you could hear the room. Like people are going, that means Michael's his brother-in-law, right? So that was the thing. But I was able to make a name for myself because I learned 3 things. #1, I invested really heavily in my own personal development. I was selling personal development products back then. I enrolled 90 people in my team that first year in a program called Landmark Forum. And all of a sudden my team, half the leadership council, which were the top money earners in the company, half of them were personal enrollees of my own. I personally sponsored them. And I go back to personal development on that. The second thing is I got really, really good at lead generation. Where that wife's best friend's husband, he and I were running these co-ops. And I'll date myself. I don't know if this goes back further than you, Aspen and Brent, but there was a magazine called Home Business Connection magazine. And I was spending $11,000 a month to buy the cover and a 3.5-page advertorial. So I was able to tell my story, make it look like it was an editorial, but there was all kinds of hidden triggers and call to actions in there. And I was driving them to a website. And that became a co-op. So that same guy that I'd sponsored, he and I one day, as a joke, I said, we should turn the co-op into a lead company. Careful what you say, because 3 weeks later, we were sitting in the corporate office and we created a lead company specifically for the company. And so personal development, having a fresh audience to speak to. And the third component was having a duplicable system. Remember I said the company gave me the ability to build my own marketing platform. 3 people on my team built their own marketing platform. So I had 3 of my leaders and then my entire other team that were the 2 main marketing platforms for the entire company. So being at the right place at the right time helped. But having those 3 things drove me from being top 10 to being the guy with the highest duplication of anybody in the company. The only reason I know that stat is because our bonus structure was based on duplication. So when there was people that were much bigger recruiters than I was, I was getting bigger checks because I had better duplication than they do. So fast forward 2009, I went and took over a competitor's company after my brother-in-law had sold his interest in the company, and I felt like I was a trophy. So I left and went to a competitor. That's when I was introduced to Mike Sheffield and the Sheffield Network. That's how Aspen and I were introduced last week. I was an executive with a company. Mike was doing our comp plan reboot. I grew that company to $150 million a year in 220 countries. Again, with that same 3 formula: personal development, lead generation, and duplicable system. We were using a Russell Brunson product back then that was a evergreen webinar that worked over YouTube. This is 2009. So there wasn't evergreens, there wasn't webinars yet, but we built one through Russell's products. And, so I ended up leaving that company. I've been in the space literally as either a distributor, an executive, or a company owner since 1998. There's a 5-year gap in 2003 is really when I came back full force. I reached out to Mike Sheffield 2 years ago and said, we have a lot of the same clients, and I really don't want to cost you money if our opinions differ. I'd rather be in lockstep, because you've been doing this for 30 plus years. And you're the big daddy, and so we sat down, and everything that we're doing fit what he's doing. So we actually took over the Sheffield Network's marketing. We do all their SEO, all their paid search. And then they've really done a great job of introducing us to their people, and they've really fallen in love with what we do. So we take it very seriously, the trust that they've placed upon my partner and my team. I'm based here in Scottsdale, as I was sharing before, I think before you came on, Molly. We live here 10 months of the year. 2 months a year, live on this little teeny island just near Jupiter, Florida, on the east coast of Florida. And I've got 26 full-time people. That includes my business partner and myself. My business partner made his first 7-figure annual income with a company called Excel Telecom back in the 80s. He was working with Jack Welch, reported to Jack Welch at GE. And we really brought the digital thing to the network marketing space. The last company that I was a part of before I started the agency was a company called Techademics. I grew that to $51 million in our first year. We were an internet marketing college. So what I do for a living is what we were teaching people in a $12,000 education program that had an affiliate marketing, network marketing network, comp plan based on the inside of it. And so, I started this agency. We opened our doors on the 1st of November. My business partner, Ross, and I linked up in January of 18, started having what if conversations, because I was bringing network marketing strong to the company. As I shared with Aspen, I was on the beach in August of 17 when the 2 founders of the company, one had flown out the day before. And I heard the plan from one of the partners to steal the company from his other partner. And I walked into my suite. My wife looked at me and she said, "Dude, you've seen a ghost." And I said, "Actually, I just saw my career die, because I won't be here in 2 weeks. I'll find something else to do. I can't be part of the bad mojo." And so that's what I did. I quit my job as a guy that had built that company. I was a chief sales officer. So every dollar that came through that organization, every person that was recruited came through me, directly or indirectly. We did $1 million our first month, $2 million our second month. And by the time we got to time I quit, we put $51 million in the bank. So I walked away from shares, bumped into my business partner, Ross Denny. I swore I was not going to do MLM again. But as I quit that MLM company, all of a sudden, people that they're the who's who in the space started calling me saying, "Hey, we heard you're not building a check. You're not building a company. You're not building a competitor." Guys like, guys that were making over $1 million a month were calling. And so we were working initially with just some distributors. And then next thing you know, companies were calling. So, we've sponsored the ANMP each year since I started the company. My partner, like I said, we were both ready to get away from MLM. But then all of a sudden, it was like the Godfather moment. We were getting sucked back in. So we get, the nice thing is we're in a position where we get to choose who we work with. For us, we want to create, massive revenue for our clients. We love to bet on ourselves and participate in that upside. My team is extremely well versed in MLM. Several of my employees and contractors have participated prior to working with us. Nobody builds a check anywhere in our company anymore. In order for them to work with us, they can't build a check, and neither can their spouses. So there's no room for any kind of funny business there. But really what we work with, guys, is we look at things from a corporate level, as I shared with Aspen on Thursday, it was Friday. On Friday, it was a blur because I did 13 of those between Thursday and Friday, just in the afternoons, 13 30-minute consultations. But, you know, we really look at it that we provide basically a four-legged stool, a four-legged table. Number one is we work with business owners, helping them really establish what their go-to-market offer is. In MLM, we kind of get it a little bit better. We being all of us, we understand that we're selling the hole and not the shovel. And a lot of my traditional clients, they still think they're selling the shovel, and we have to kind of help them craft the offer. Going to market, you want to sell the hole, not the shovel. So we help with the offer. Second thing is we work on assets. We look at, you know, what's your websites, what's your web presence, how are you seen by the world, and so we will help build or create all assets, whether earned or owned. Earned being socials like LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, you name the litany of social media platforms that are out there right now. Owned are the assets that you actually own. Ezzey.com, Ezzey.co, Ezzey.net, etc. So we really work on assets, because that's really where your offer and your brand promise to your customers meets the real world. Third piece is where you've heard me talk about it, which is lead gen, but we call it an audience. We when my partner and I were able to combine our two companies, we like I said, we reconnected in January because we had the same mortgage company as a client. They're the number one mortgage company here in Arizona, fifth largest in America. My partner was building them an app at the time, and I'd built them a funnel and all their lead gen stuff. And when we sat down, we started looking at our two agencies. My agency was all disruptive: social media, Instagram, Facebook, funnels, paid social. I was farming out all my paid search because I wanted to make sure I could serve my clients. But long story is, I didn't have an internal team for Google and SEO. And so when my partner and I, we've known each other since I was running that company that I met Sheffield with originally, $150 million a year company. But I was looking at bringing my partner and his team aboard back then. We knew of each other and ran in some of the same circles here in Scottsdale. Ironically, I didn't know it, but he and my brother-in-law, who was my original sponsor, were running together in both two companies I was a part of. So I kind of attribute me living in Arizona as a byproduct of my business partner, because he's the one who said to my brother-in-law, "You got to come check out Arizona. It's gorgeous out here." So kind of like a domino effect. But he was running a intent-based agency, working with clients like Target, Bebe, Rockford Fosgate, and they were really doing SEO and paid Google search. If you guys are familiar with Pax or Juul, it's the e-cigarette. His agency, which is now our agency, is the company that launched them in the space. And so the reason I bring that company up is, like our space, anything has to do with nicotine, THC, CBD, network marketing, crypto, weight loss, you name it, it's a restricted space. And so, we run by the same principles. But we were able to combine our two agencies in August of 18. We doubled each other. We doubled each other in size. We really the first few meetings, it was like this, but with a bunch of people that looked like the initial Brady Bunch. As they were looking around wondering, is he going to take my job? That person does something very similar to me. We didn't get rid of anybody. What we had happen as an added benefit was we figured out how to have Facebook and Google play together. They're completely different, but with our guys just being uber nerds and doing what they do, we're able to basically build a lookalike audience in Facebook, pull that audience out, put it into our Google platform, and then tell Google, give us a custom intent audience based on these same people. For you guys and gals, what that does is it gives you a better lead quality at a lower price. So we have access to Google's AI platform, their machine learning platform. We have Molly and her team of 5 or 6 that work directly with us. Our chief marketing officer is a guy named Rick Bodie. Rick is part of the Google Council. So during non-COVID years, Google flies Rick to a room full of Mensa super nerds. And Google says, this is what we're focusing on the next 6 to 9 months. And I say that tongue in cheek, but it's real. I mean, he just was in Chicago in February before the world closed down, and they basically said, "This is what we're doing." Boom, 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 boom. So, you know, it's just we love to leverage our assets so that we can have the biggest win. But you know, I got really excited listening to Aspen sharing some of the heartache, and I'm not saying I'm excited for the heartache, but you know, that first marketing platform you heard me talk about, I had business partners. They were a married couple. We ran together hard, built some really cool things together. And one day my wife said, "You're working so much harder than," I won't say their names, but they're so much harder than they are. And I was like, "Oh no, that's the way it's supposed to be." But that seed was planted, and it gave me a realization that she was right. She usually is. Luckily, she's not here to hear me admit that. You know, almost 18 years of marriage, she hasn't heard me say it much. I'm totally kidding. But you know, the reality is that I believe that the best companies are there. They come from some kind of pain or something. You've got to go through some of the heartaches. And so when we interview people on our team, we want to hear about their failures and how they were able to overcome them. I lost everything in 2012. I'm not bashful about it. I lost the cars. I lost the house. I took some big strides in business, had the wrong partners, and it left a mark. But you know, as I shared with Aspen, it's made me a much better man, better husband, better father, better business person. And as a direct result, our clients have been able to achieve because of some of those pain points. So anyway, that was the quick version. I'm a network marketer at heart, so you don't want to hear the long version. Does that, Aspen, I cover what you wanted me to cover? Molly, is she frozen for you? Or is it just me?
Oh,
okay. Now
yeah.
She's back. You froze out.
I'll take my video off because sometimes that helps if there's a internet connection.
Did I leave anything out that you wanted me to cover?
No, I think I just want to kind of see how all the pieces work together. I mean, I'm familiar with Russell Brunson and ClickFunnels and had a coaching business. And I think I can mentally grasp it there where, you know, you offer something freebie and you kind of lead them through that. But I haven't really ever seen, even working corporate for It Works, what the funnel process would look like to actually funnel in MLM leads, you know, beyond just bumping your page and hoping people see it and get curious. Like, what does that look like to bring in cold leads? Because that's one thing I said to Sheffield when we started working with them a couple months ago. I said, I'm confident in our ability to deliver tools, training, and support on the back end. And even on one of our calls with them where we screen shared with them and showed them our setup for tools and training and support, literally one person on that team said, in 30 years, we've never seen a company that has tools and all of this set up this way, just in our units and Facebook groups and just our system. So I'm confident that we're going to have a fabulous launch with our network and their network and so on and so on. I'm confident in our ability to you know, talk about what makes us tick and be authentic and get people to, you know, come alongside the vision and the mission. But I'm not confident in our ability to get cold traffic to our company when we get to that place. And I've never done anything like that before on a large scale because I've always just been able to build through other people's network and do tap rooting and find those diamonds in the rough and, you know, always had been able to attract people just very organically. But when I saw you speak that day, I thought it is worth it to me to have some conversations because why would I say no to more people if we could bring in the right people that align with the culture? I'm not super interested in like just targeting big leaders and hoping they bring over a massive team. Like I'm perfectly fine getting organic, you know, leads that are people that just have a why and an interest, whether they've had experience or not, that will just align with us. I'm willing to teach them fresh. I feel like they stay a lot longer. So I don't know, Molly can ask questions or you can kind of tell us what the starting point even looks like for a company like us. I mean, I know I told you the other day, I wanted to get some sales in with the network we have, which will be happening in December, but I don't want to sit around and wait to talk to you until April because I want to figure out what it would look like and then we can say when.
Let me jump in and answer that. And I'll just share with what some of our previous results have been. So Aspen, you gotta refresh my memory because I wrote down a lot. What is your core product set going to be? nutraceuticals, right? Health and
Yep,
wellness.
they'll be in the nutrition space. 2 are powders, a turmeric powder beverage you drink warm, kind of like a
Anti-inflammatory.
whole latte thing. And then we've got a balance product that's a green powder you drink cold. And then there's a metabolism boost product. And I sent you over via email our Bravenly book. And if you randomly kind of scroll through that, you'll see some pictures in there. And I don't expect you to take a ton of time to read all the scripts and training and stuff like that, but it will give you a feel for what we have.
I see it. I've been on Zooms back to back. So I see you sent it about an hour ago. I'll make sure I go through that. I wanted to make sure, do you have any CBD?
Nope.
Perfect. Okay. So that, not saying don't do CBD. I'm a huge fan, but my market, you would mess up my marketing if you did. There's a couple different approaches. So if you choose to do CBD, my request is don't put it on your homepage at all.
Okay.
Because then you're going to change what I can market, and you're going to change also your merchant providers relationships.
Yep. My last company I owned was CBD. And so we love the product, but we're not going that direction with this company.
Beautiful. I'm a huge fan. I'm an investor in CBD. My wife sells CBD to doctor's offices for a living as a pharmaceutical rep. I get it. So I've been around the plant since literally the day I was born. My dad's an old hippie.
Yep.
So just making sure. So how do we do it? Well, did you get any marketing from A&MP over the last 3 years?
No, I actually didn't.
Okay.
No, I didn't.
Just curious. So, what I did when we were working with the number 2 guy at Prove It, we basically built him a marketplace or a Facebook group, and we would drive everything in as a cold traffic into that group. And we did it through a series of bots and questionnaires and stuff like that. And we basically would do a free trade. We'll give you this if you give us this. So basically what they were looking for was a keto something or another. We'd give it to them, and then they'd go into the group. And in that group, we put 21,000 people in that group for $1 each in that first month. And so then it was up to him to warm those people up and convert sales. We did something similar with a company that sells coffee. It's one of them. Hang on a second, just see what I'm getting text there. Okay, perfect. That's to you. That's to you, Molly. But then we have another one we did where they're selling coffee, right? And it has as an adjective, special voodoo coffee. I'll call it voodoo coffee for conversation. And so we would basically, we were marketing a free keto group with a keto meal plan. And on that meal plan, the voodoo coffee was just very subtly in there. So at 10 o'clock, you drink your voodoo coffee. Then we'd have people come back and say, what's the voodoo coffee? And then we would actually have a sample pack that we'd sell them an experience pack, a 3-day experience pack. And then in there, we'd go through an upsell, downsell offer. So, hey, by the way, for $25 more, we'll give you 30 days instead of just 3 days or whatever the number was. We did that. It was so successful the first few times we did that it was costing them $1,000 per time that we opened it up just in samples. And so that after doing that a couple of times, we said, what would happen if we asked them to pay for it in a cost plus ship model? And so we actually created a revenue stream. So not only was our client making money by selling all the sample packs, he was also selling them upsells. And so we went through the first time. We didn't expect it to be as successful the first time we did it. Our client was overseas with his wife doing some kind of dragon race for breast cancer survivors. I think it was in Italy. And, he's like, man, you just cost me $2,000. I did this twice, but he wasn't complaining. He ranked up like 3 or 4 times just in that month. It was crazy, the numbers that we put together. So for us, it's a warm-up process. We're going to build know, like, and trust with folks. And, understanding as we dive in deep together, understanding what the edge of your spear, the tip of your spear, edge of your blade is going to be, what we lead with will be important. I don't know if you have a sample program of any type yet. We love sample programs. We've integrated with Verb and some of the other sample programs out there. But that just gives people a low barrier of entry, low cost. So we believe that if we can get somebody to pull out a credit card for 97 cents or $9.97 or whatever the number is, the lower the cost, but still with the highest impact of product. Like when they feel something from your product, you can charge anything you want after that. And so, we're big believers in getting them across the line. We were working with a doctor's CBD company. We said, give us a $7 offer. Apparently they thought $77 and $7 was the same. And so they gave us a $77 offer and wondered why only like 1 out of 100 was taking it. I said, I'm surprised we got the one, but when we lowered it down to a $7 and change offer, we were getting a 51% opt-in, which are insane numbers. We're looking for a 20 to 33% opt-in for success. But with you guys, it'll really involve us, Aspen and team, getting to know each other, understanding what behaviors you're looking to drive, where, are we doing something for the company, where we do a test model first to get some clients in. Once we have that test model, then are we going to bring it and open it up to all your distributors? It's really just, understanding the mindset of corporate. One of the things that I love the most that I've done in the past is just building these big corporate plans. Are you trying to show me something? Got it. Sorry, my wife is delivering stuff to me here outside on the patio. Okay. But when I was running the corporate side of that company back in 09 to 12, I think the biggest disagreement I had with the owner was when we would do a test, he'd say, well, cool, collect money from the field so we can fund the test. I was like, no, it's not how it works. So we're going to take the brand new people who just started that are so jazzed about it and run a test. And if it doesn't work, we're going to test them out of the business. No, we're making tens of millions of dollars here a month. We can fund it ourselves. And then once we figured it out, then bring it out to the field. So there's just, for us, it'll be get to know you guys, your culture, really what the rhythm is, how we can create some tangible results quickly. And then Molly, we really run off what we call the build, grow, scale model. We'll build out an MVP model, minimum viable product. You see the hummingbird behind me? Just happen to see him.
Yes,
This is
yeah.
the purple flowers, he or she. So, we'll start off with just building the minimum viable product. So something that we don't have to go in and spend $100,000 the first month, right? I started the company the same way I think that Aspen shared with me. We didn't take any outside money. Every company I've started, I've bootstrapped it myself. And that means something to me. So, for you guys to be understanding where do we get some initial wins from an MVP model. Once we've built that, then we start growing a little bit more, turning some of those profit dollars back into ad spend or SEO or whatever model we use to build whatever digital structure we build with. And then from there, it becomes very predictable so we can scale it, right? If $1 in equals $3 out, $1 in equals $5 out. We look to get a 3x ROAS, return on ad spend, in the beginning, and then grow it from there. Rick, who you'll hear me talk about, Rick is our chief marketing officer. He's the Google council guy. He took a company in the Midwest. They had stagnated at $8 million, a small family business. They had stagnated at $8 million. Within the first 30 days we basically placed Rick in their basement of their corporate headquarters, where he was running all their digital from there. And we were able to go from a 3x return on ad spend to an 8x return on ad spend in the first 6 months. And he got them up to 24 times return on ad spend. So what that means is for every dollar they put into Google, they took $24 out. And so after doing that for 36 months, Rick is now with us full time again, but he was there on contract with the other company for a long time until his partner, which is my business partner, jumped over here with Ezzey for us. But we know your space. We know your space inside and out. It'll be really understanding what the offer is. And then what are we selling? We sell an opportunity, we sell products, we sell lifestyle. It's the whole gamut, right?
So do we need to get, we are using Credo, and I know Matt Lind had said something about they're creating some sort of sample program. So one question would be, do we need to get samples made of our product? Because right now, because we're just getting ready to launch, we just sell them in full size bottles. So is that something we need to look into, is finding stick packs for a sample of the powder? I work well off task lists, and I know Molly does too. So is that something we should be looking into? That's question one.
Possibly. It's in this conversation, it's too premature to say yes or no. Again, I want to get to know what your offer is, and really what's the tip of the spear going to be.
Okay.
Right. So with the coffee company, the tip of the spear was giving them a free keto menu, right? And so we would do basically a weekly food menu, and we created a cookbook and all kinds of stuff that, you know, your typical digital agency wouldn't do. But we're really guerrilla warriors when you look at how we do it. I've been in the saddle. I've got over $1 billion in sales and network marketing, and I've never, well, I shouldn't say never. When I left corporate and went and spent 18 months being mentored directly by Holton Buggs, when I went from the corporate side back into the field, you know, I had this idea that I was going to be the white guy in an all African American and Latino company selling coffee. Great idea, but I can just tell you that my fraternity brothers and people I knew, white guys are very pretentious when it comes to coffee. I don't drink coffee, so I don't know, but I was calling my buddies saying, "Hey, I got a coffee that you could try. Do you like yours with cream and sugar, or do you like it black?" And they'd say, "Hamburger, where's the beans from? Are they organic? Are they free trade? Is it Robusto? Is it Arabica? All these different," I'm like, dude, it's free coffee, right? So anyway, that's a whole different story. But understanding what the tip of the spear is going to be, like who your different audiences are. You know, if it's people closer to my age, you know, I'll be 50 in a year. Weird to say, you know, so, you know, that's a whole different mindset than say Molly, who here probably is not a day over 25, if that, right? So there's a different, you know, there might be different products depending on which audience. You know, me, I could use some inflammation. I study jujitsu 4 or 5 nights a week. So, you know, being able to get rid of some of the aches and pains of doing a combat sport at 48, almost 49 years old, awesome. But I don't think that somebody as young as Molly is going to have that same kind of approach. So understanding which one makes sense and who we're going after, each audience may be different, will be important. So at that point, then once we do a deep dive, Aspen, long answer to your short question, once we do that deep dive, let's not put the cart before the horse, then we may make sense to do a sample program.
Okay.
Yeah.
Molly, what are you thinking? Where's your headspace at with questions, thoughts? I know we've got our breakthrough program and lots of different things. Where are you at with things?
I'm thinking a lot about our breakthrough program. I think sample packs would fit in really well in the breakthrough program, obviously we offer already a ton of free tools. We already have set up several Facebook groups for several different things. I think just honing in on the strategy for those, and then getting started on our breakthrough program. We already have a PDF, basically like a 20-page healthy lifestyle habits. I guess I'll start with talking about what our breakthrough program is. It's basically centered around these 3 products: the Gold, which is the turmeric-based latte drink, and then Balance, which is our kind of a 9-in-1 healthy nutrition drink. It's a green powder, but not to be confused with a greens product, because it's so much more than just 5 to 6 vegetables thrown in a powder. It's 9 separate blends that could be 9 separate products all put in one, and then a metabolism boosting pill that kind of is also like a blood sugar support pill. And so this breakthrough program is basically like every month, it's a 30-day program. Every month you choose your breakthrough, right? So it's before the holidays or after the holidays or before summer, or literally anytime you want a gut detox, or you want clearer skin, or you simply just want to eat healthier. In our program, we have, you choose your breakthrough. So you choose every single month. It's meant to be duplicatable. It's meant to be duplicated. And
you know, that's an MLM only term. It's not a real word. Duplicatable. It's
Yes. So it's this.
Hey, we all know what you mean, because we've all said it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's this program that we've created that we want to make we're going to launch a Facebook group around it. And that's where I think samples of you can do the program for a week, and we give you a week's worth of product in samples, or you pay so much more and you get the 30-day pack.
What's the 30-day pack cost? Just
because a week samples would still be a lot. It definitely wouldn't be a $7 thing, because it'll be, if they're I'd have to look at the pricing, but if they're signing up for our ambassador program, which is like preferred customer, it'd be around $175 for all 3 products for a month.
Okay, so 175 divided by 30. I'm just seeing, so you got a $5.83 cost per day, essentially.
Yeah, I'm hoping those numbers are right. Yep.
Okay. Well, under 20 is going to be there's really the target. You'll hear me say 7 because internet marketers, for some reason, we love 7s, right? $7.97. I see Mallory, if you guys aren't seeing the chat, Mallory says she would suggest a 3-day. My question for all of you is, how many days until I can feel it, right? Like my wife just sent one of my fraternity brothers that I did backcountry exploration with a 7-day CBD pack. He called her on the 6th day and said, I got out of bed this morning and I don't hurt, first time in 20 years, right? But he was calling her day 2, like, this stuff doesn't work.
Yeah.
So how long? I know everybody's different. Like I'll be the first to admit, I have the worst body awareness. Like if I use a product, if you saw the gel that was going around, the Somaderm gel,
Yeah.
it took me 2 bottles of that to actually feel anything. They're like, it's because you're already fit. Okay. What about everybody else?
Yeah,
Right?
I think that's my only concern with samples, even in any company, is always, what about products where it's just a regular use product that's good for you and you aren't, it's not like happy coffee. Like some of my friends say they tried Elevacity coffee and they're like, oh, you feel like you're on crack. I'm like, well, I haven't ever done crack before. And I don't drink coffee, but they're like, some people love it. And other people, it was like, oh, I felt wired. None of our products are quite like that. You get a boost of energy from the Balance product, the 9-in-1. But I do feel like even in MLM, there are some where you're not necessarily going to feel this instantaneous, oh my goodness, this is crazy. I'm so jacked up. I ran 4 miles. Ours is more that every day.
Let me ask you a question real quick. And so I'm very familiar with that coffee. It's one of the voodoo coffees that we've worked with.
Yep.
When we were doing Prove It, one of the things that I really admired about what Brian Underwood put together was the subliminal messaging. By now, you should be feeling this.
Yes.
Right. By day 2, you may feel less sugar cravings. And I don't remember exactly what they were. I've done a lot of stuff with Prove It. And we're very public about it. So I don't talk about clients when we don't talk about clients. But Prove It's one where I've got no issue talking about it. We did a ton for a lot of their folks over there. So it may just be Molly or Mallory or all of us together doing a brain meld where we come up with the messaging. So, when my partner was trying the Prove It product, he started to feel things more so when he was told what he should be feeling. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, as you look at it, like, again, I don't know your turmeric product, but I've taken turmeric before. It's an anti-inflammation product, correct?
Yeah.
Right. So by, the messaging may be, let's say we're doing a 7-day program, and, there's a couple ways to skin this sample programs. You can make it so they're commissionable and they have volume. You can make it where they aren't commissionable or they only have volume. So there's different ways so you don't have to get the same 8 to 12 time markup in order to get it out, right? So if it was, ranked, I don't know your comp plan yet. I see it's in the email that you sent me earlier, along with the 36-page document. But, it could be creative messaging and then tying the sample program. If there's a way to do it closer to a cost of good, but that way, then you're gonna have to monitor to make sure somebody isn't trying to gamify so they can get the product for less by putting in, when people fall in love with your product, if they, if we're doing 10 sample packs and 10 sample packs cost less than the 30-day program, there'll be some kind of moron out there that'll get 30 different, emails and different credit cards and stuff. So just things to look at, right? There's always catch-22. But again, we'll figure that out as we get a little bit further down the rabbit hole together.
And are there companies that do offers that don't involve samples, but there's something else of value to add, or is that really the best thing to do?
No, it's just one of them, right? So for us, it's how we create mass market. We want to create something that you guys can build and grow on and then scale.
Okay.
As a startup, if I was to bring you 1,000 customers today, we might all have the same haircut real soon, right? There's a company called Indica, and it's Indica. It looked like a Zippo lighter, but it was a cannabis vaporizer. So you'd open it up, you put your marijuana in it and close it up, and it would heat up, and then you could literally smoke it out of there. This is prior to my partner and I putting our two companies together. My partner took them to market. They told my partner, we need 9 weeks to turn product. So they would get product from China in their warehouse, ready to be shipped out in 9 weeks. That was what they told us. They messed up. It was 9 months. And so we did an SEO play. Thank you, because you guys know exactly where I'm going with this. We sold them out of business. They were such a demand, especially for SEO. Once you turn it on, it's not like a paid campaign that I can turn off. We're at the mercy of Google, right? So Indica is no longer in business, and I hate to admit it, but it was because of us. It's really because of them, but we put them in such a demand. So, understanding your capacity will be important too, because I know you want to go fast, but I'm also sure you'd rather be smart and then go fast. And so, supply chain, logistics, all the things that, as I know you guys have done this before, and you probably have some battle scars remembering, especially the stories you told me, Aspen, the other day about the success you guys experienced. So understanding all of that's going to be important. And so as we choose to go deeper, and I introduce you to my business partner, Ross, he's going to get super granular. I'm the pie in the sky vision guy. Ross dots my I's and crosses the T's, right? He's an engineer by trade. I'm a sales guy by trade. I was a Marine Corps recruiter, and then I got really good at this thing called MLM. Ross is the ops guy on our side. So he's going to get, for us, marketing is math, right? We know people join MLM companies for emotion more times than not, and they don't think about the numbers on it. Ross is that other side of the equation. He's the numbers guy. And so we're going to really dig in and say, okay, what are your true cost of goods? And what are all these different pieces? So that number one, we can get a CAC, client acquisition cost, that supports what your cost of goods is going to be, and then some. So we don't want to put yourself in a position where every time you make a sale, it costs you money, right? So like right now we're working with an MLM trainer out there, and we're pushing one of his events, and he was like, hey, I want to sell it for this. We said, wait a second, if you sell it for that, every time you make a sale, it costs you money. Yes, you can monetize it on the back end, but we need to just let you know right now that if you sell nothing else, there's no monetization on this list. Every sale costs you X dollars. And it was a significant number. He said, do it anyway. Right? We did it anyway. He's been able to monetize them on the back end. And it's been very, very successful. You sent us to voicemail, sorry.
So as a startup, let me just ask what I feel like is kind of obvious. Why would we not, and maybe we would be, but why wouldn't our main strategy be, how can we recruit people that want to build the business? Is there a legal reason with the FTC that we wouldn't want to have most of this focused on recruiting people to the business? Because then because I still do share and all that with my warm market. I'm not like spammy and weird, but like, why would we not, since we're at the beginning? I mean, even Sheffield put together a leader recruiting campaign, our legacy founder. Like, why would that not be something we did? Because obviously each brand partner, has a network that they share with on social media, and, their influencer friends that are on social media. Like, does anyone go that direction, or is it always, now let's go invest in a bunch of samples and let's kind of go this whole other direction?
Well, let me preface by saying I'm not qualified to answer a legal question, as I don't even play an attorney on TV.
Okay.
But I've spent a ton with attorneys as the corporate guy on the MLM side. And I've always been in a sales and marketing role on corporate. I personally like a blend. I mean, personally, if I'm in you and Brent's shoes right now, I'm looking for a blend. One, I'm looking for clients so I can satisfy the ambiguous number that we don't even know what it is with the FTC.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know who your attorney is. Kevin Thompson's always been my go-to. I spent a fortune with Jeffrey Babner back in 09 to 12 when I was running the corporate company back then. But as a marketer, I'm looking for other marketers, because I know that if I find, the product could have been anything when I first started. I don't know if I told you this. when I first started, my wife and I had just gotten engaged, and she said, honey, if it goes against our Christian values, because it was a personal development, kind of woo new age is what we were thinking at the very beginning. And she said, if it goes against our values and our beliefs as Christians, just promise me you won't do it no matter how much you think I can make, how much you think you can make. A deal. And that's always been our deal. So, with that being said, I'm always looking for recruiters first and foremost when I'm building somewhere. And the way I do is I've got a decent network. Holton taught me a really nice launch strategy that we've been able to duplicate here on the digital side. So what we do really proves to marry up nicely with Sheffield's Presidential Leadership Council. And I think you called it Legacy, probably the same thing. So I would say, really for you guys, that's a decision for the Emrys to make and for your team to make. If you're asking, if I was in your shoes, I would do a blend.
Yeah.
Where we're doing some recruiting, but recruiting is a different conversation. Because recruiting, you're trying to pull somebody that's already somewhere and hoping that it's the right time. Like putting together a presidential leadership campaign, just a digital side, that's a really small scope. We're looking for one type of human that fits these 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 type things. When you're looking for
what about even recruiting people? My favorite people to recruit are those who've never done network marketing. Because I feel like what about putting things out there that would draw them in? People who've never said yes to network marketing that are at a place in their life, whether it's due to COVID or maybe they just had their first baby or whatever it might be, that something pops up and they take a look and maybe they've never found a company. Is that too specific? And I don't know.
Not too specific.
To me, I just know one brand partner joining the business leads to boatloads of customers, and the way that our comp plan is designed to reward them for building a large customer network. I know lots of the customers come when we get more ambassadors. At my last company that we owned, we had no issues getting customers. Our ratio was 10 customers to one brand partner. Our biggest hurdle was once we burned through kind of my network and their, the network of our reps, not my business partners didn't bring anybody, but it was more that it was like, we've got customers coming out of our ears. The average brand partner had $300 to $800 a month in customer sales. Like we would probably have been an FTC dream when it came to that. And it's not that I don't want to still have strategies with this breakthrough program and kind of go down that rabbit trail of sampling, but I'm like, gosh, in the short term, if we could figure out ways to tap out of my network once and for all and say, where are some fresh people that we're not pulling from another company necessarily, but that we want to kind of have eyes on us. And I don't know, that would just be a goal of mine if it's possible to even do that.
I think it's all possible. All of it's possible. And it really comes down to budget and audience, right? Because if you've got the offer. So I can only share my own experiences. I was a whale hunter. After I'd been in the industry, I was with my same company for about 9 years. And I went a different direction because my business partner was bought out. My brother-in-law was bought out. His business partner became a member of a cult. They call it a church. I remember that conversation with my wife and I. I went back to her and said, I know we're making 80 grand a month, but remember that conversation we had when we were just getting started? It's time for us to go a different direction because that church was knocking on our door, literally. And so, we just went a different direction. So I became a whale hunter when I went to my next company as a distributor. When I came back out of corporate, went back in the field, what Holton Bugs taught me was I didn't have to hunt whales anymore. He said, start looking for people that have made $2,000 to $5,000 is the biggest check ever in network marketing. And let's help them make $10,000 a month. And, we set some records at Organo Gold by doing that.
Because they got a taste of it. They know residual income. They know that it can work, but they've never been in a place or a season or a time or in the right situation to go to that next level. But they've done enough where they get it. They get that, okay, this could work. If XYZ happened, maybe it would have been different. So
I mean, I think a lot of it will be, as we explore what your offer is and what you're looking to accomplish. And this is a conversation I'd recommend that the 4 of you, plus, is it Mike as well?
Ashley and Mike, yeah.
Yeah, plus those 2, really decide what behavior are we looking to drive? No different than comp plan, right? When you sat down with Sheffield and you guys said, let's draw out the comp plan, really the smart thing is to look at the vision down the road and say, if this is what we're looking to accomplish, what comp plan drives that behavior and comes all the way back? So recognition, compensation, et cetera, and what the structures are going to be. And then, so for us, it'll be really looking at, and we don't have to just pick one, right? That's the nice thing is we can build, a funnel that's just a recruitment funnel. And it might be, one of you or several of you coming out speaking, authentically to somebody's heart saying, I know where you are. Almost like if you've seen a Tom Selleck reverse mortgage video. Yeah. I just happened to see it this morning as I was turning on my favorite news channel. He's one of the things because I love listening to what the message is, right? These different commercials. First thing he's talking about is trust. I know how you feel. I felt that way too. It was like the feel, felt, found.
Yep.
Right. But it was hidden in there. And it's like, reverse mortgages. What is it looking to do? For you guys, it could be a conversation of, listen, we know you've tried it before. My best friend is a guy named Todd Falcone, right? Yeah. Todd, Todd loves to say MLM has and he leaves a blank. And you're right, 9 times out of 10 people say stigma, because it does. Yeah. So if you guys have that same conversation, like, look, I know where you are. You're watching this video because you've been in network marketing, and maybe you didn't create the type of results that your mentor or your sponsor told you would, and it could have been the wrong opportunity, the wrong mentor sponsor, the wrong products, the wrong compensation. But if you're looking for whatever that is, you found the right team. Let me introduce you to a company that's a little bit different, or as I like to say, a lot of bit different than everybody else. And here's why. So that's a whole different recruiting conversation. Somebody who's already been there, done that. Somebody who hasn't been in the space, it's a lot more, pie in the sky, you're painting the dream. And then if you're selling the product, you're selling the as I like to say, you're selling the hole, not the shovel. Mm-hmm. From what we discussed today, Aspen, you have the bones to build upon, right? You've got great products, you've got a great compensation plan. It's obvious from our conversation that you and your husband have the right heart and right mindset, as you're not just in it for the money. As you shared some of your pain that you guys went through, you're making tons of money, but it just didn't feel right. It didn't align with your values, and I can appreciate and respect that. So I think part of it's going to be digging in. You have a back office. You have who's your back office provider?
We're using By Design. They're programming it all right now. It's not done. So we have By Design, Credo. We work with Sheffield. We work with Steve Richards for our legal, and then all sorts of other people for different things. But so we need to get together as a team. Are we able to have this recording to get to Ashley and Mike?
Of course.
Or is it okay? Because I would like them to see it, just so they can they've got a lot of input and thoughts on this. And I think we just probably need to sit down and kind of talk a little bit more. What would you suggest are the main things we need to talk about behind the scenes and kind of figure out?
What number one is, what are you looking to accomplish?
Okay.
Recruiting, sales, a blend. Start really thinking about the budget. Think about, and here's how we've explained it, and how the greatest in digital marketing, whether it's MLM or not, have explained it. Look at what your 1 year desired results are going to be, and take 20 to 40% of that, and that's your marketing budget. Divide that number by 12, and that's what your monthly budget should be.
And desired results from this campaign specifically, not anything we're doing organically. Like if I said, I want to generate with your guys' help X number of dollars, or overall company sales?
Both, because whatever we do should be able to run alongside with what your field's doing, right? Okay. We don't want to become a competitor to your field, because then we create a stop point or a quit point. So that the field goes, I can't compete with them. They got the company budget.
Well, I didn't know if it was in addition to what I know we'll do organically if we did none. If you're like, I want that number, what you'll do on your own, or what you want us to increase it by.
But we're just going to be more important to what we're doing.
Okay.
What you're looking for us to do. And then, there's a few things. Number one, I'd recommend that you guys put your product on Amazon. Why? Not to compete with the field. Say it costs $175 to buy your 30-day kit through a distributor. Put it on Amazon for $225. You're only putting it there for credibility. And then and I would even recommend that you take the profits that come in from Amazon, which should be none, but that would be put back into the field as a bonus. So that way the field knows you're not competing with them, but you're helping us create some of the earned properties to go build your company on, your digital footprint and plan on. So there's just little things like that, little nuances like that we can help with.
Okay.
I would also look at it and say, okay, we should be looking at your reputation that's out there, because if you guys were the face of the last company, hopefully there's nobody out there burning your credibility and writing negative stuff, because that's going to be important. Your reputation online matters. We want to really look at what your first page results are. So for principal owners' names, company names, product names, stuff like that.
Okay.
And then we look at things like, we can help you with your P&P, your terms and conditions. What's your paid Google strategy? What's your guidelines for the field? We recommend that we build one singular co-op. That way you can manage. We've got other things that we can help you with on Facebook. There's no reason to have the field go out and basically spend each other out of keywords, especially if you have a product at a retail. The Happy Coffee, I know for every $1 I spend on Google, I can get 7 back without ever talking about the compensation plan or the opportunity that's the business. I can just sell the coffee. So if you have something like that, my wife buys turmeric drops, and now she just went to Costco and bought a big box of pills that I saw this morning. She doesn't care what the comp plan is. She wants it because she's an avid tennis player and she hurts. So having a product like that is going to be valuable for us, how we can get it out there. So then another conversation for you guys to have, I know we're tight on time here. I need to jump here in a second, but another conversation to have would be, what's the price that you could actually put a sample program out there for? And if you have it where it's below market value, does the rep lose commissions? They lose volume? There's got to be a trade-off there. It has to make sense from a dollars and cents standpoint from your side. And then once you have some of those numbers down, then we can get involved to make sure that we have a true math equation so that your marketing has an ROI, return on investment, on it.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Mallory, I guess there's no questions for you today. I'm teasing. I'm a smart aleck too.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
So which one of you ladies was in the background when we spoke on Friday?
Me. That was,
gotcha.
yeah.
Just check. All right. Well, you guys enjoy the beach. Asma, should you and I connect later in the week?
Yeah. Yep. Send me the recording, and then I'm going to start visiting with the team about some options.
So I can do Friday morning, same time. Does that work for you?
There's no bugs on you. Sure. What time? Yeah.
Same time. Let's see. Is it 2 o'clock? You are?
One my time, I think.
Yeah. So I'm on Mountain Time. When we spoke the other day, we were 3 hours difference. Today we're 2 hours difference.
Okay.
Arizona, we don't observe.
So noon my time.
It'd be 11 my time.
Oh, okay. So 1 mine.
Which would be 1 o'clock your time. Same time this call started. Is it 2 o'clock at your house right now?
Yes.
Cool. 1 o'clock would be a great start time to have that available. Does that work?
Yep.
All right. We'll meet on the same bat line, same bat channel. Invites sent to all of you guys again and gals. I enjoyed our time together and look forward to hear what you guys come up with.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You got it. Cheers, guys.
Thank you so much, Michael.
Bye-bye.
Pleasure's mine. Bye-bye.
Bye.